Yeah, we have a little leeway for 5 days.
Hi, how are you guys? It's really good to see you guys.
It's good to see you.
Thank you. This is my happy place right now, so. Quite a sanctuary for me. I brought my daughters, if you guys could introduce yourselves, there's maybe some interest in HRC since we're losing Emerson and Finn next year. So we're just sitting in, see what it's about and see if it's a good fit for them going forward.
I'm John.
I'm Riley.
Hi.
It's me, guys. Is there anybody, is that public comment or just sitting in?
Me?
We're gonna, he's on the agenda, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I missed that last week. So,
No?
good to see you.
Would you like a copy of these?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
It's public. I'm not doing wrong things.
Okay. So we're going to introduce Maya, but I don't think she's here, so if she does pop in. We will take care of that. I didn't get a chance to pass around minutes from Keith, so we'll do that at the next
I'm laughing because my minutes were
meeting.
too long. I find it very difficult to do that. Some people do it and it makes it look so easy. I'm like, am I supposed to just write everything everybody says? That's my default.
No.
Yes, I've been told that, but for some reason it doesn't stick. I just keep writing everything that everyone says. So sorry, it's lengthy.
Who's the recorder to the recording? Oh,
I can go back and
I can look it up.
it could be me. I don't know.
I think it could be.
Yeah.
It could be
okay.
you.
Could be me.
It could be. We don't have enough to do.
So under anything else, since Dennis is here, I just wanted to touch base with you on we had a fork on what we were gonna do with community conversations and race, and then there was another piece that was talking about policy. And so Jen, Keith and I met a couple days ago to hammer out what our piece is going to look like. So we set expectations, and want to get some feedback on what you think as far as what our plan is going forward. Does that sound
Yeah.
about right to you guys?
Yes, definitely.
So instead of really digging into policy, particularly around DEI and what happens when incidents of hate or bias occur, instead of looking at the actual policy itself, I think that it might be more productive for us to talk about communication around policy and procedure, because I think it's really currently, and what we've been hearing, particularly from Chinese Friends of Needham and other groups, is that information is not readily available. It's difficult to find, it's not in one centralized area. It seems like from handbook to handbook, things are not necessarily consistent. So I think we want to take a look at what's already out there and try to figure out, how do we centralize this information? How do we make it easier for people to find the resources that they need if they want to talk to somebody or are looking for support regarding anything that happens at the schools? And that also does include, aside from gathering the information in one spot, thinking about cultural differences among different groups within the schools. Do we want to translate this information so that it's easier for people to read and understand? We're not trying to step on anybody's toes regarding communication, but I think that we can provide some sort of service in looking at what is already existing and trying to make it easier for people to access. One of the suggestions that Jen came up with was, this isn't the official term, sort of this Bill of Rights that makes the process seem very straightforward. These are if such and such happens, these are the steps that you might want to take. And here's a list of resources that you can contact, whether it's police department, somebody within the school, mental health provider, just, how can we make it easier for people to reach out and communicate if that's something that they want to do? We also talked about talking to the Real Coalition, because that is work that sort of touches on what the Real Coalition has been looking at with regards to all of their DEI work. So there are families, parents and students involved with the Real Coalition, so that might be a really good area for us to arena for us to enter and get feedback from them and see what, maybe we're missing something, see what's happening already on that front. And also thinking about the needs of the different grade levels. So what an elementary school child needs is gonna be very different from what a middle school child needs versus a high school child. So, there might be middle school and high school kids that don't want to discuss some of these things at home. So, again, trying to be sensitive to some of the potential issues that we're facing and trying to figure out how we can make lines of communication open and more transparent. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I think that one of the things about, this kind of idea we have for a one pager is to be able to kind of very simply write out what people can expect from the process. So like knowing like this is where you get the form, you can expect to get a call from whoever the policy says you get a call from, like the people investigating, you have a right to make a statement, those kind of things, so that people can quickly see what this process entitles them to in a way that is easy. I spent some time a couple of nights ago trying to find all this stuff, and it is all there. But it's in kind of different spots.
Yeah.
And it's not so easy to find, right?
Yeah, I think, here's my kind of takeaway with this is, we know there are different things, when we have, there's something happens, like when we reach out to different like to schools, so different organizations send me emails with, oh, this link, it's like, they're all spread out different places, we do have the resources, but it's very hard for people who are not familiar with what's going on with the top management in general. So, what we're trying to, I talked to Tina about this and say, hey, why don't we just look at, I think just get a like centralized like a list of the resources, if they need it, they can look at through it. And they can pick the one like which is their need and to go through. It's like, for example, it's like if it happens in the school district, you want to go through the school process, the protocols to go. If you need an investigation, right, you contact the principal or who is in charge of this type of the DI issues, and then talk to them in person to clarify if it is an investigation needed or what. And then from there, that's like, if we just, you happen to run into something happening in a town, like as adults, like I think that discrimination process maybe is better. It's just like we need a place in which like people can, because last year when something happened in the school, our community members are kind of scratching their head and trying to find out who should we contact or talk to about this. They don't, because Real Coalition is a great place to try to show the diversity of the school in general, but it always supposed to the positive side.
Right.
And what you can read from there is like, yes, we are diverse for sure. But like when some issue that happens, like Coalition does not necessarily tell you how can we help you to resolve this.
Yeah.
So I think it's like, because I think Coalition is trying to, it's a course sort of, I think that's sort of a kind of branding for the diversity of Needham in general, but it doesn't necessarily, when it comes to specific cases, like that will help, because I don't think Coalition offer any help on that regards. But I think that two things, one is the general, if you have diversity in general, it's like you can go Coalition related, but when you run into specific cases, right? Situations where might be a little privacy, get into such a privacy, and you're not comfortable to share with everybody. So that's the process you want to follow.
Yeah, I followed after Jen spent some time looking around. I'm a pretty advanced tech guy, so when I start to scour the web, needed resources, I could find this stuff too, but it was overwhelming. There was so much, and my attention span's like this big, and it was hard to get through even when I was like, okay, imagine if you were in this situation and looking for this.
Yeah.
And so I think like condensing it and having it in a place like on our website, available in a bunch of languages, as many as we can figure out how to have it translated into, I think that's like something that's kind of reasonable, and certainly, you know, reaching out to other organizations who are probably thinking about these same kind of things too, but trying to make it super simple, because it's, you know, for people whose English isn't their first language, a form like, I mean, information like that's out there, it's impossible to get through. I mean, I couldn't do it, so.
Yeah, Marlene,
That was my question, where would this document that kind of brings everything together in a simple way, where would it sit? And you're saying it would be on our
I
website.
think so.
So then
We
somebody
could
needs
put it
to
in
know.
Google Drive and then put a link from the website to it. That would be an easy way to do it, because
Yeah,
then
but
we,
people have to know that we're even here.
right.
I think it
So
should be with the
I'm not,
schools.
Why wouldn't it be in the school handbook?
well, that's what I was wondering,
Each
if there was
school's
some
handbook.
place within the schools, unless if we put it together, are they gonna feel that we're stepping on their toes?
No, we're not putting their information on your website, but just links. There's links if you're looking for this. There's a school contact for this type of issues. It's you just share the, these are the resources available. We're not sharing their specific information, but just the links. If you
No.
need help on this one, go that link. So
I
to make it
understand, but
easier.
I wanna know where that first sheet is.
And I think it would, because we talked about this too, that we want to be sensitive to not try to, you know, not work on MPS's policy and to kind of play within their bounds. But I think, I mean, once you get what we were talking about, you know, like a kind of Bill of Rights or one pager, once you harden it, make it available in a bunch of languages, you put it in all these places, or have it linked
Exactly, yeah.
everywhere, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take anything but one line to say like, oh, start here. You know, some initial starting point that is really easy to follow, I think is
I
really make a difference.
Yeah, because the incidents that happened in past years, I kind of centralized, I kind of summarize everything into one document on my end. I can share that with Tina to jumpstart this for the efforts if you plan to do this.
Yeah.
So I think, once you have that in one web page, like summarizing this, and this will become a link too. And
Right.
this link that can be shared through others.
Exactly. That's
It's
right.
just like how to get it, like spread out the words through the different channels, like newsletters, school bulletin, et cetera. It's like, I mean, parents might not read everything, but like the teachers usually do.
Yeah.
They, when they compile this, they say, yeah, it's pretty useful. And they can pass on when there's need.
Yeah, and I also think that, because I do a lot of this stuff with work, but I love the ability to comment on these documents. We do this for these kind of like new user sheets that we give to people. We allow them to add comments because maybe they're reading it a way that they're not quite understanding, and they can leave a little comment and then we can address it. It's something that's like a live document that always can be adjusted. Instead of something, you know, we'll try to make it as perfect as possible, but the feedback, once it's out there, we'll really see, does it work? What is it missing? And try to like fill in the gaps.
I also didn't anticipate that we would be doing this on an island. I mean, I don't see how we could do it without engaging Mary Lammy's office and,
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, no. Cause
Absolutely.
this isn't something we're doing to them or to fight them, and we need their,
So
There
you're
we go.
saying it looks like this is a way to go and then have them be involved.
yeah, I mean, and maybe even sitting down with them to say, this is kind of what we're thinking about. Cause I think
Exactly.
it's like, not just what are my rights as a parent or as a student, but also a place where we can set some expectations, like a short statement explaining, like the law prohibits
Yeah.
the principal from telling you what the consequences are to the person who allegedly, you know, did the act, so that it's about what your rights are, but also what your expectations are, so that hopefully that helps people approach the process with a better understanding of what they
Sounds
can
good.
get out of it.
Is it more like an FAQ?
Maybe. I don't know, but we
So-
literally were just like spitballing.
So is your
Something
next
on the
step
page.
more meetings of this particular small group, or at some point when you get together with the school department before you get too far down one?
Yeah, I mean, I
Right.
think that what we left with on Monday was, let's do some research and figure out what's there and where do we find it? And that's what and I didn't realize that Dennis, you had already done that.
Oh, no, yeah, I
So
started
that-
that, you know,
That's
on
okay.
Monday. It's like, yeah, so it's a learning process for me too. It's just happened like when I got different emails, it's like, I need to keep track of the things, so I just like kind of copy him like into one document. I have not like organized them yet, but it's all there, so I just need to label them right and then share that with, so.
That's great. We also talked about too, gathering feedback, because especially like from the schools, from the kids, right, the students in the schools to really, because we have three
Different ages.
different, yeah, we're in a different demographic age group, right? But it'd be interesting to hear what, high schoolers think, middle schoolers, because if we really want to try to make it something that's like approachable, what the parents think, families. I mean, we want to try to cover as many, points of view, I think, as possible.
It's definitely gonna involve some community engagement.
Which is, I think, partly what we were thinking about trying to connect with the Real Coalition on. I hear your points, and they're very well taken, Dennis, about kind of the Real Coalition, at least the ones that I've seen, it's very much kind of in celebration of what
Yeah,
work is being done, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
right.
But they do have a community engagement committee, and they do have a policy committee.
Right,
And so, again, we were just kind of brainstorming, like, maybe that's a space where there's already people gathered thinking about this, like, that might be, I don't know.
Do
an
they meet
opening.
regularly
It's
or irregularly?
that's the policy, it's not a profit thing, right?
The Real Coalition.
The
meets
policy
every
has to
few
go
months.
through the hearing process, right?
Right, but there is, one of the committees of the Real Coalition is focused on looking at the policies of the
Oh,
school.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if there's a feedback on the policy, particularly the policy, the subcommittee can kind of take a look at that to see if anything needs to be changed or maybe improved.
I don't know how deep they get into policy making. I just am thinking that there are people there that probably know what the policies are.
Oh, like a think tank, like.
Yeah.
Knowledge, okay, alright.
And wasn't the Human Rights Committee asked to be part of the community engagement?
Yep, many times.
So it may not really be filled out, that group?
I don't really know. I haven't been to a meeting all year, so Tina might know better than I do.
Have you been to?
I've been to a couple, yeah.
By the way, it did say in some previous minutes, your name next to
Yeah,
March.
of course it did.
So you say yes so often.
It's no problem. Thank you. Glad somebody's paying attention. So are there any other comments, questions or concerns? So yeah, next steps are, we need to dig into this. We'll circle back with Dennis to see what he's researched and found. We obviously need to bring something to the table before we actually set this meeting with anybody from the schools. And then we'll, hopefully we'll get some, I mean, I'm confident that they're going to respond to this positively. Dr. Goodcants was very responsive when Chinese Rentham Needham sent along the Newton handbooks as far as clarity, transparency. I think he was actually going to talk to the superintendent there to see if he could actually borrow some of that language and incorporate that into Needham's documents.
They
So
have an amazing webpage. I don't know what the rules are around
plagiarizing.
copying it. It was really good.
Yeah.
It was really
So,
Yeah.
I think they're open to that, and again, we're not actually tackling policy, it's tackling how policy is communicated throughout the community,
Yeah.
being sensitive to different needs and, cultural backgrounds. That's something that's hard to argue with. So I think those are our next steps, but if you guys think of anything else or something else comes to mind, just email one of us and we'll discuss that in our next meeting.
That's great.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Good. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dennis.
Dennis, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot, Dennis.
Thank you. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Dennis.
Okay, discrimination complaint process, we've been trying to tackle this for a while. Has everyone gotten a chance to go over the form that Melanie and I have drafted? So I don't know, Marlene, if we should just go line item by line item, or do people have some jump to things
I mean,
that?
if people have read it,
Not just-
okay, but maybe you should just take a minute to look. I mean, I guess we can. jump through it. You wanna do that? You want me to do that?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so this is the draft form, so. Complainant is the person who is bringing the complaint, and it's just asking for some basic information. We took a lot of this from other complaint, discrimination complaint processes in other towns, so, and then, they really have to think about where do they think their rights were violated? Because people may think that their human rights were, violated, but in fact, when they look at this, they might say, gee, that's really doesn't fit into any of those categories, and we pretty much think that we, unless you guys think there's anything else, that we, covered all the areas. And then, so more information, you know, on the back about, why do you believe they were violated, with more information. Just to summarize how you feel, after writing it, like how you feel that they were violated. Date of an incident, and what remedy are you seeking? So what are you looking for us to do? That's really what we're asking the person. And then we want to know if they have filed a complaint with a federal, state, or local anti-discrimination agency, and if yes, which one? And then they would just sign it. And we're very clear that all correspondence is public, but I mean, they're just gonna give this to us, so we're not gonna put this on our website or anything to complain, but just so that they know that. And then once it's either delivered to us or they call us, then we would start the process of questioning and asking and looking deeper, and trying to really find out what was going on and how we might be able to help or refer them out to another agency or place. And depending how long it takes us to do all of this, sometimes things are resolved before you even know. So you also, so here's I think the process flow chart we've seen in the past. I don't know if you want to talk about the form first, and then we can talk about the process flow chart, because the complaint, the intake form, which is what this is the first piece.
Does anybody have any feedback on this?
Can I ask what may be a silly question? I don't know how, I'm gonna ask something which I'm not sure how it would work, right? But what if there's somebody who has been discriminated against and is not even comfortable in giving their name or address or any information at all? Is there some value to, I mean, I'm thinking through it, like, there's probably still some value in hearing about it,
Sure.
right? And unfortunately, you can't like follow the whole, you can't provide a good end result for the person who starts the complaint if they leave it anonymous. But is there any value in at least giving that option? Like, does that break kind of the chain here so that, you know, it kind
You
of
mean
falls
if
apart?
they just want a listening ear is what you're asking?
Yeah,
Or
so
place for a
basically
listening ear.
if they're too scared to put their name on something, but they feel like they've been discriminated against, I think we still want to hear that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Even though we can't like follow it all the way to the source, or is that unfair to the person complaining against?
At a meeting, or would this be
Well, like, I just imagine like if somebody feels like they're discriminated against, they get this form, they fill out all the information,
Right,
but
yeah,
they're afraid for whatever reason to put their name and information on here.
But if we look at the flow chart, somebody can call,
It's a phone call.
and can talk and say, this is what happened to me. Is this anything that you guys can help with? And they might say, well, what area of human rights do you think we're, you know, they can ask, you can ask some of these things and the person can get help with that. I think that's really important, that first intake thing. And I can't imagine most people going through all of this without having some sense that it was worth doing it.
Yeah, I just like, my concern is if you don't write like complainant, you know, not necessary, you know, optional or something, just to give people like an out, like maybe they do want to fill out the form and get it to us, but not put their name on it.
So the sentence after signature, maybe we move this to the beginning.
Right,
All correspondence with the Needham Human Rights Committee is public. You can call to speak
right,
confidentially.
maybe that's the way to do
Darn
it.
sure.
Right,
About your
right.
options before filing a
Yeah,
complaint.
that's
So
right.
maybe.
Move that up to the front, yeah,
Yeah,
good.
that's really,
I think
thank you.
that's really good. That's a good
you
idea.
know. One of the things here about, have you filed a complaint with these different groups? do we ask somewhere if they're involved with a legal process? Because I think that's one of the things that we were
Yeah,
supposed to find.
yes, if they have filed, and then we would ask them. And we would see where they were with it, and we probably would say, well, you filed, you know, this is a legal thing, or it's a criminal thing, or whatever, it's not our purview. Thank you for letting us know,
Yeah,
but you.
I
is
just
that what you
wondered
mean?
whether you would include along with that, have
Like
you
lawyer or
consulted a
legal
lawyer,
counsel,
or
yeah.
are you in some kind of?
Oh,
Because
I
quite a
agree.
few of the people who had come to us in the
just in
past
case.
were, they said, oh, well, I went to the court and they said blah, 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 and they didn't really understand my rights and,
so you want us to add lawyer to this? Have you filed your complaint with,
or sought legal, or have a legal counsel to help.
sought legal
And what
advice?
would be the
I'm
right
trying
way?
to figure out whether or not we need to have that information.
Because they might be ruled, weren't we saying they would be ruled out of our process if they're already involved in the litigation? Kind of thing?
Well, I guess they could be talking to a lawyer and not have a litigation open yet. They could be. I think if it was my client and they were doing this and didn't telling me, I'd be worried because everything that they're putting out there
They
is,
shouldn't be. yeah,
right, like. But I don't know if that's our problem or if that's just the lawyer's problem.
I think when, we were creating this, I think town council did express a concern that if somebody was actively in litigation, that if HRC got involved, you could become a witness or get called into that,
That's a good point.
that lawsuit, and I don't think anyone here wants to be involved in that.
No.
So
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 we
I
have
think-
that
I
here.
think
So
it
we
is a
should
good
add
You know what though?
suggestion.
I wonder, I get that,
Yeah.
but I also wonder if it really makes any difference, because somebody could go through us first and then we could still end up a witness in a case later on, if they're like, well, I brought it to the Human Rights Committee and they thought I was violated, so.
But you would never determine if somebody violated a right.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, for the same, but it would be the same reason that somebody would be calling you as a witness.
I just think it
Either way,
ups the ante of the likelihood you'd end up in a lawsuit.
I think we should ask.
What does that, okay, so you're saying that that would help us prevent getting involved in something where there was already litigation? Okay, guess
You
there's no
know more
reason.
about that.
Than any of us, right?
I'm 20 steps away from where we are, and there's probably no harm in us asking, I suppose.
So that's a question for Chris.
If we can ask or if we shouldn't.
Should.
Should ask him,
Should
how
ask.
should that be worded?
Yeah, good.
Belinda, is there anything on, just from a criminal side or from the police side that would trigger anything like that as well? If they've already contacted you about it and they're coming to us because they feel like they're either not getting the resolution that they want, or they're trying to reach out to as many resources as possible to try to come up with a remedy.
For us, we're just investigating.
Okay.
It's the litigation aspect, the next part, but we're just investigating. We're not gonna be like, who have you told?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where if they're working with counsel, then there's that, a lot going on there. Yeah, much more than what's going on with us.
Okay.
So definitely I'd be concerned.
Should we ask if they've been involved with the police department, have brought this complaint to the police department? Because you have you filed with,
Federal, state, or local.
Yeah, that's it.
but that's anti-discriminatory agency. I guess you could say the part of the
I
police.
think the part of the police would fit in there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's very possible that somebody wants just to be heard here in their community, and they are also going this other route.
Mhm.
Either they're working with the police or they're going with the state agency, and it may not be that they want us to help them resolve anything, but they just want to be heard and they want to have it on record here, that this discrimination happened in our town.
Right, even just awareness.
Yes, right, exactly.
That they allege that it happened.
Right, that they allege that it happened.
Yeah, because we have had people come to us who've already told everybody on social media and every group they've ever been part of, and then come here and ask us to agree with them.
Right.
We might want to be explicit
I know what you're
about.
talking about.
We all do. It's not that uncommon. It's not that
Right,
uncommon.
right.
I think we might want to be explicit about whether they've filed the complaint with the police, whether it's tucked into that same sentence or as a different question, because I do feel like that may not be obvious as a local anti-discriminatory. I agree with you, Susan.
Yeah.
If that's information we think is important for us to know.
Yeah.
So you wanna add police there?
Yeah.
Okay, and then a follow-up with this on the language that we should use regarding the litigation, because I just want to make sure that the wording is right, so that it's clear.
So what is the next step now? So we go to the board?
No, this
Yes.
is for us to do, we don't have to go back to the select board. I mean, we were supposed to have already started this process, and this is supposed to be a pilot year, the year has gone by.
Not
And,
yet, we have a few more.
well, I mean, we still have to get this out there and people say, and then we have to evaluate it, so, this is a pilot, so.
I think
Go
back
back
a
to
moment.
Mhm.
So, just asking, like, for the police aspect, I don't think I would use the word complaint. I think I would say, have you filed a report with the police department or a complaint with the anti-discriminatory agency?
Okay,
Do you know what I mean? We're not filing a complaint with us, just, I know it's semantics, but.
Yeah, but
Sense,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, that such and so person did such and so thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Any other? It's helpful.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I'm curious, just the areas, when I'm just looking at the areas and reading them, thinking that,
Are you up here, or are you on the first page?
in what areas do you believe your rights were violated?
Okay.
So maybe this is just like, I'm very new to this and not to web, but I feel like a hate crime, I don't feel it like falls in, these feel very serious to me, like. Something happened to me in employment or education or housing, but what if it was some kind of hate crime? I don't personally, I might stop there and think I didn't.
I think that the hate crime would be because of your race, possibly, your age.
Yes, I agree, but that's past that section.
So you have the larger list, the next page.
Yeah.
But you're
yeah.
asking,
Well, to me, it felt like I have to qualify each step to get to that. That's just. And then, yeah, then you're correct. Then the next page would be listing that, yeah. But I feel a lot of people maybe, hate crime is,
I
that would
see what
be
you're
like,
saying.
you know what I mean?
So, moving this section further up.
Maybe, yeah.
And put in what area do you believe your rights were violated after?
I know you can complain about like identity, cause like. If I was hate crime against for who I was, like I don't think there's anything here that like checks off like that I was hate crime against because I was gay, like I don't know. I would put that on the back, but I feel like that being first also.
Okay.
yeah,
Sexual orientation.
Right, I think you can put like something, this is all about like identity, you can put something here about your identity and you get one.
so the larger list that's the second page might come
Move a
earlier.
little further.
Or maybe, yeah, identity would be under, in what areas do you feel your rights are violated?
Well, but was your identity, were you discriminated
Yeah.
against in school because you were
Right.
gay? Or in housing because you were
Yeah.
gay? Or, you know, in a public area because you were gay? So that's what that means.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
that makes
but have them
Okay,
flipped
yeah.
around, so
Yeah.
that, starting with which thing you felt you were discriminated
And
against,
then
have
the area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I just feel
Okay.
like I have to justify in that area to move on to the
Right,
next
right, right.
section.
Okay.
And if I can't justify it, it's kind of devaluing the thing that I'm trying to complain against, you know, it's like, I don't.
Well, one of the things is when people look at this, they may feel
Forget it.
they don't have a complaint.
Yeah,
I mean, that's not the idea,
Yeah.
but this is to really make people think, is this, you know,
is it a complaint?
is it, yeah, were they really discriminated against? You know, is it just that, you know, the neighbor's dog has been barking
Yeah.
and it's bothering them, you know? Well, what area does that fit
Right.
into?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the wrong, area to go.
Okay, so
So we'll just.
You're
move
okay with
that.
that, Rachel?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that's fine.
What about like domestic abuse? Like that doesn't seem to fit any of those categories.
It would be on.
Yeah, that would be the police.
That's not-
That's the
Right,
police.
yeah.
That's not,
Right, that's
That's
not
not-
based on someone's sexual orientation, gender, or religion. That's straight up a crime. I hope they don't transfer.
Maybe we would need eventually FAQs that would have a question like that. What about if I had domestic, violence or abuse, and then say that you can go to, you know,
It's kind of like every time you try to reach the doctor's office, it's a life-threatening emergency.
Yeah.
So dial 911. Like we should have something
Yeah.
similar, like if this
oh,
was
yeah, that's.
a
Yeah.
crime.
Maybe
If
that's
you're,
it, yeah.
if you're afraid right now and
Right.
being threatened, threatened and
I
so
think
forth,
that-
call such and such.
On the
Don't
town
fill out the
website,
form.
I think it clearly has like domestics and, DPAC, and then if this is imminently call 911, so I think it's really, straightforward, and I think people realize that they need help with domestic and.
unfortunately, they wait way too long for the domestic side.
This is just more of the status. So what else? What other feedback do you?
Sounds like we're, like the form is okay with the adjustments that you all recommended. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank
Great.
you. You know, the
Great.
more
Yeah,
more
it's
eyes that
great.
see it, the better it is for
Yep.
all of us. And I think the flow chart hasn't changed.
It
at all.
hasn't.
And this is what we presented to the select board.
What about the question on the last page that probably has to be answered? Where does the NRC or NRC are opened by a representative at town hall with a question mark? So it's-
Oh, we wanted to know, yes, so I think we got our answer to that, it will. If something comes through the mail, that goes directly to. Do you guys open that, or does that come to HRC?
I
If
have
somebody-
never received mail for HRC. That is a valid question.
There's a little box.
I mean, we tend to open all mail, to direct it appropriately, but I think this is maybe a policy question of if there's a reason why you wouldn't want a town staff person to do the
Right.
initial
Yeah.
opening.
Can we make this an online Google form that goes to the NHRC email address?
Sure, we could.
I mean, I know we can.
Oh, yeah,
Do we
sorry,
want-
Gary.
do we want
I
to do that?
couldn't see that you were the one asking this. I'm like, yeah, we can, yeah.
Yeah, cause then people can just, we don't have to deal with the printing and the mailing and the.
I think we should keep
But
it
some
a paper
people may
copy.
want-
yeah.
Some people,
Well,
too,
but
yeah.
I'm saying,
Yeah,
I think a lot of
absolutely.
people might just do
Yeah.
it if they can just
Yeah.
fill it out and it goes to our NHRC email address too.
but we
I mean,
have
we
to,
could say that the, staff liaison to HRC opens it. Then it wouldn't be just like anyone in town hall opening it.
Would
Because
you
we
mark it
need to have-
confidential?
It
or
would have to be
something?
somebody
we
that
have
like
to have the
knows this
paper copy.
process. I mean, in this case, it would be me, but forever in the future, that's just one
But would
suggestion.
like maybe marking it confidential do something, like police catch?
Yeah, although ironically, it's not confidential.
Right, right,
Uh,
right.
It's not.
I guess, yeah, maybe you can't
so
say it unless it actually is,
We
but,
obviously wouldn't like proactively circulate it around.
Right.
but,
And I think in the past, people have come here first, and then we would ask them to fill this out. So they come and it's a public meeting,
Right.
and people have presented, when they've been discriminated against, so.
that's awfully brave.
So what phone,
Not
what
be
phone
much more
number,
scared.
what phone number are we giving? Because I've
Yeah.
seen some towns where that's a big part of it. Some of them go through a police department, some of them have a new phone number that's dedicated, but then who
Mhm.
manages it, blah, blah, blah.
I just suggest we resolve that offline, because I have to figure out what the IT options are, and.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I'm just saying, I'm just bringing things up that
No, that's,
need to
that's
be
a good
figured
point.
out. And then the Wellesley thing had it on signs around town. Have you had a hate crime or been discriminated against?
Right, well,
Call this number.
The PR that's the next step.
Yeah, right.
But Carrie, is this what you were talking about online? It gives you the, see the, on the last page? That is,
No, that takes you to our
To our
page on the
page.
town.
right,
website, we could have a link to the form there for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
And then they would end up filling, I'm sure you filled out a Google
Yeah.
form at some point, and then it gets emailed to our Gmail address.
Right.
But yeah, we could print it there.
Yeah,
Or
so
people could print it, or we could have paper copies also available at town hall. I mean, I think we can cover all of those
Yeah.
bases pretty easily.
That's good.
so we'll figure out the phone stuff and everything. Maybe didn't say. Okay. So. So once we get all that going, we really have to then publicize and say, we're here, we're doing this. And we talked about like other kind of documents that talk more about us.
Would it make sense to have an announcement at town meeting?
Interesting.
We have a public
As a starter,
the town newsletter that comes in every
town newsletter?
Usually need-
Yeah, I feel like the community at large would not probably get the message.
So we just, no, but town meeting is another place and we're gonna have to do it many places.
Mhm.
We
Need a
could ask our
server.
communication people.
Yeah.
Is there a
I
spring
think we're
fair?
like a step away from all of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay,
We-
but,
Several steps, I
yeah.
think we
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree, once we, there's no reason why we shouldn't just channel this through as many outlets as we possibly can.
Sure.
Yeah, and even on the, whatever you guys are putting together for the school. So that-
We could be, that could be one of the resources listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could certainly create like a QR code too, to make it even easier. Use their phones and get right to the form or right to the page. It kind of like pops this in front of them.
That'd be really cool, because we could get stores to like put it up.
Yeah, right, exactly. Just like a simple QR code, you know. Do you feel like you've been discriminated against? Start here. Like just to get the ball
Put
rolling.
it in every bathroom,
Yeah,
all over town.
right, exactly.
You're out of papers.
I think it could be good just people know about the Human Rights Committee. So that one of my experiences just joining this, that I would tell people, and the most common thing was like, there's a Human Rights Committee.
Right,
Exactly.
right. People don't
Like,
know.
really? What does it do? So I think just, letting people know it's there is
Right.
powerful.
You said there's some more things that needed to be done before the publicity part?
just all the questions raised just now on the form and,
Yeah,
marketing
finishing
materials
up,
and all that, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we'll
And
have,
I'm assuming you all are ready to take the calls when they come.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I guess that
We don't know
the
who's recording,
actual
we have to know
question
who's
has to be
listening.
answered. So, just not a discussion for tonight, but.
alrighty.
Who will take the call?
I'm ready.
Alrighty.
So
Great.
then
That's
it's gonna
great.
drop the ball on me,
We're
but-
ready. We're ready. We all had that
We'll still
workshop, right?
call
We're all-
So,
Okay, good.
okay, so we'll make the changes, I'll touch base with Chris, we'll figure out the phone number. And then, I'll send this out just to make sure if there are any final edits or questions or if something comes up. Let us know, and then I think in our next meeting, we can start talking about, you and I can talk beforehand, let's talk about marketing, figuring out what we want this to look like, how we wanna package it, how we wanna brand it, as a sort of a subset of also how do we want to, market HRC in general. I do think there's been a little bump in interest over the past few weeks,
For some reason.
it's been talked about a lot, so,
That's good. For us.
it's out there. So, yeah, I think that that'll be next steps.
Yeah.
We're a lot closer than we were, and so I'm pretty confident that over the next couple months, we can get this thing going.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Great. Community conversations on race. You guys have been working hard on this. Cynthia and Amelia.
Yes.
And Katie.
Yeah.
We had our second meeting. By the way, I don't know if you all know who's on this committee. It's an incredible committee. Really impressed, besides Katie and Cynthia and I. Liz Lee from the school committee, Dan let me see,
Superintendent.
Chinese Friends of Needham Yin Fei Zhang. Beth Pinels from, representing the NRN, Needham Resilience Network. Raman, representing Needham Diversity Initiative. Reverend Sandra Bonet Kim from Carter Memorial Methodist Community. She's representing the Interfaith Clergy Association. And Kevin Keene is on. Joanne Ellen Willoughby, representing the Real Coalition. And possibly Mary Lammy might be joining us. She hasn't come to the meetings.
Renaz Mala.
Oh, and Renaz, I forgot. Oh. Yeah, she's a community member,
She's also part of the, Needham
immigration.
Immigration Justice Task Force.
Well, our first meeting, and Cynthia, please chime in, did a lot of brainstorming, kind of getting to know each other. You're a great facilitator, Katie. And we had lots of ideas, but really didn't know what we were going to talk about for our meeting this week on Tuesday. And the meeting opened with Dan, recommending, a student-oriented presentation. And we're at early stages, so we can't share too much. They're meeting with students, so it would be student-oriented. And Dan, Joanne Ellen Willoughby and Beth Pinels would be working with schools to get this off. And we're thinking about having something before the end of the school year, probably in May, but we're still trying to identify a date.
One of the amazing things is the people we came up with for this planning group, and it can't possibly represent all the groups we want to involve once the program is happening. They all agreed to participate and they all attended, not only the first meeting, but also the second meeting, which I think shows the level of interest that people have and getting an invitation from the town. Now, that's and that I think this is what we've been working toward for years, that the Human Rights Committee could work with the town on meaningful projects. And here we are. That's great.
So you're saying that the first conversation would be in the schools?
No,
It's a community, it'll be
Okay.
community-wide.
Oh, but it just be, okay.
we're hedging on it because the group of students who would be leading it have not agreed to do it yet, so it would be not the right moment to bring that
I
out,
see.
but
Okay.
everybody was really enthusiastic.
So our charge is to plan a community event that facilitates an open dialogue around understanding the incidence and impact of acts of hate in schools. And 2, engages the broader Needham community in teaching each other, young and old, how to prevent incidents in the future. So that's sort of our framework.
And we don't promise to do all of that in 2 or 3 meetings, but hopefully to take a step that will be meaningful and that will move forward in our work with the community.
And right now, we're just focusing on this first event. Someone suggested, I think it was Renata suggested, we do a survey of the town and see what ideas they would have. Perhaps we might get something at the end of this first meeting or conversation. But we haven't thought that far ahead, whether it'll be 2, 3 meetings. We're just taking one step at a time.
Great.
But it's a wonderful group. I really feel honored to be with these people. And they're very, very kind and I think they now feel very comfortable with each other. So people are speaking freely.
That's great. Good, thank you, Beth. The multicultural festival, Keith, and Emmy can also chime in. I did see, somebody voted on Bill.
Bill, Bill
Yeah,
Carlson.
so I know that you guys have been.
Yes, yeah, I won't dive too deep into it because it'll just get me all excited and I'll go to sleep, but I've gotten at least 3 or 4 more phone calls from people who all said the same thing, that though they had a huge part in it, the first time they had to step down because they have so many other commitments, but they want to help any way they can. And I was like, that's great, okay, perfect. So I have a nice enormous list. And I finally was able to coordinate meeting with the principal, so I'm gonna be there Thursday to do a walkthrough. And so I don't know if
The
that's,
principal,
at the high school,
At the high
yes, yes,
school,
to see if, I mean, to say that he was enthusiastic about the idea that we could all work together with the students, and it's something, I know the high school, the students have been really wanting to be a part of, and he's thrilled that the town is like all jazzed up for this. So, I'm not sure exactly what time, so I don't know if it'll be during school or after, but as soon as I find that out, I'll make sure that,
Mhm.
yeah, if you're available, that'd be
I
great.
mean, in terms of using the high school for a space.
Yes, sorry, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, at the last meeting, we talked about that, you know, we want to try to find someplace in Needham that can accommodate, you know, sharing more cultures, more tables, more space for people. And the only place that, that kind of came to mind was the auditorium, I mean, the gym or the cafeteria at the high school seemed to be the two possible fits. And then when we heard that this was something that the high school would love to be involved in, and they, you know, you guys, I guess, you went down the road partially, and then because the town was putting one on, it kind of got sidetracked, but to say that they are ready to help in any way is a massive understatement. So I think by the next meeting, you know, so my hope is that we'll hone in on a date, like we've been saying, you know, hopefully sometime in September, I think, is probably where we're heading towards. But once we find out the availability of the space, then I think the time is to reach out to kind of all the other groups that have had hand in the first festival, just to make sure that, you know, we're sensitive to everything we're supposed to be sensitive to, and that, you know, we can have it on a date where it, you know, doesn't, you know, hit any other kind of holidays, and so we can get the biggest turnout that we can. And then from that, I guess, I mean, I'd like to say the real work starts, but the amount of information that I've gotten in the last couple months, they did a ton of work. So it's really just trying to make it a little bigger, and, you know, a touch up here and a touch up there, and I think we should be ready to roll.
Okay.
yeah, and I wanted to
Okay, yeah.
see. about
So what I'm doing at the high school is a group of seniors in a class called Greater Boston Project. There's like several groups, and our group is assigned like multiculturalism and sort of finding some project around that. So we chose to do a festival. The thing is that we're all seniors, so we can only do so much in helping plan an event. So we were thinking either doing like our own event in the spring, and that'd obviously be smaller, but we don't necessarily, it would have to, we have a date of May 4th as like a possible time, and we're talking with the student unions. They've agreed to meet with us next week or the week after. So we'll hear about their interest. They all seemed very interested. And yeah, we talked to, we also have a meeting with Dr. Gudikans next week as well. And we've already talked with Mr. Seacott. He was very enthusiastic about it. He can't really, you know, help us as much as we really need him to, just because he's obviously a very busy person. But he was enthusiastic about it, and having it really be like a high school thing, like for the students, and so that the students would be comfortable with it. Because I think another problem last year was that people didn't feel the urge to go, and they didn't know, like, if they stepped out and presented their culture, would they be accepted, and would it be comfortable, and would it be safe? So that's a big thing that we're sort of focusing on. So yeah, I don't know really where we're at right now, because there's also like the Elliott School does their own multicultural fair. And so we were thinking about maybe doing it at Elliott, but now it's like we don't want to impede on that and sort of confuse people. So we don't really know what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of the schools, so I think it was before the last meeting, I went to the one at Newman, which was 25 tables, cafeteria filled. Not one of the tables was actually at the multicultural festival. It was a whole new set of people sharing their culture. And so, I mean, the list that I have of people who are super enthusiastic to share their cultures and try to make this huge. So I think that, you know, I mean, I understand, you know, no matter how wonderful we plan it, you know, we certainly do want to get students to come. And so I think that'll be something that maybe we can work on together. You know, I'd love to be a part of any kind of discussion to, you know, we want to make it fit as wide range of the community as possible. And
Yeah,
certainly if the students want to have one, you know, maybe we can figure out a way to make it,
yeah.
we want to make it cool. We want the kids come to, so, you know.
I know, that's the thing that we were like, what would get us all together?
Well, that's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's it.
I don't really know, but I think,
Miss school to have it?
That's right. I mean, there you go.
but like not even,
School day.
not even that, yeah, we don't know. I think just if it seems like, if it's like, oh, your friends are going and your family wants to go and people around you are all wanting to go, then you'll be like, okay, I'll go check it out.
Yeah.
But if it's like, oh yeah, I heard of it, also is just the amount of, I guess, advertisement around it is also huge, because if there's no one talking about it, then it's, of course, there's not gonna be a big turnout.
Yeah.
So,
Because I can imagine that, I think that's what, I don't know if I talked to the principal, but yeah, if you guys are gonna do all this work and then you're gonna graduate and not be able to, because it's gonna be a school oriented, right? But if we
Yes.
can figure out a way to, you know, include the students on the planning
yeah.
and, you know, make them part of the community, right?
Definitely. I mean, I don't know necessarily a way that we can, like what we can do in the spring right now, whether it is have one and test out some ideas that you may have, or like invite people to sort of be, I don't know,
Yeah.
like examples of it, and just see what worked and what didn't. Like that might be useful for a bigger thing in
Right.
September, but it just depends.
When you talked about that, it made me think that if the students weren't so comfortable the last time, if they tested it out and they just did it with their peers at school, and then they might feel comfortable then to do community-wide thing in the fall.
Yeah.
All the people represented are seniors.
Yes.
You know, because they won't be around in the fall, right?
Yeah.
There was a program a few years ago that leadership came from recent alums from the high school, and there were also high school students. That was the one about arts, was in trying to become more inclusive to people with different ethnic and racial backgrounds. And I remember it was outside by the parking lot of the high school. I should really remember more, but the idea of having, there was some alumni from the high school who really stepped up and organized this event, and then high school students were part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that group still exists.
I haven't heard anything of it, but
I was
Yeah.
watching a school committee meeting recently, and it's a totally separate thing, but the fifth graders, their favorite thing was being able to dunk the principal in the dunk tank. So maybe that's, I don't know, if we can get the Principal Aaron's, you know, maybe gets dunked at the end of the year, I don't know.
Yeah,
You
I
guys
don't
are
know.
probably too old for that, still, it sounded fun.
Okay, so you guys will
Yeah,
stay in communication and we'll just keep
that sounds good,
working on it.
yeah,
If
excellent,
you need more support from us, just let us know as you move along.
that sounds good, Tina.
Okay, thank you guys. Jen?
I unfortunately don't really have much of an update. I talked with Jerry about trying to do this, Jerry Rovner, who's the chair of the Immigration and Justice Task Force. And we left it at, he was gonna get me a couple names of people from their group who wanted to try to plan it.
Mhm.
And then we would set a meeting to try to get it going. And that's where we are right now. Unfortunately, I don't
Okay,
know.
I also, Michael Dean also had a couple of names for me, they may be the same names that he gave you, so.
He didn't give me any names.
Oh,
so
okay,
maybe-
so I have a couple of names from Michael Dean, because
Okay.
he's doing this work now pro bono.
And he'd come to Rose's place.
Yeah, he gave a talk at the Immigration Justice.
Is he on the
Task
task
Force.
force?
No, he gave a marvelous presentation like 2 times ago. I'm not sure whether people were asked at the last meeting.
It may not. I know you guys just had the suitcase stories and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It sounds like there's so much going on in the spring. Maybe it's.
Okay, but
I think it's very important.
I do have,
The time.
you can reach out to him, and then he gave me the name of a woman that is also doing this.
To speak or to start planning it?
Speak.
Yeah, okay. I think that Jerry had some idea. Yeah, but I'll take them.
Okay, sort of piggybacking off of that, Anna had sent us a message about continuing book club. And
Right.
she and I were talking today, and I said, you know, maybe this might be an opportunity, particularly around this issue, to have this event and also supplement with some sort of reading and get a group together. The issue is she's trying to find a home for this book club. And we've hosted it in the past, so she's just she wants to gauge interest in whether or not Human Rights Committee wants to continue with this or still be a part of it. She said there's no pressure because she understands that there's a lot going on. She's leaving the library, so
The trustees.
if it's something that we want to continue with, we need to let her know. I need to let her know after this meeting.
So the
next
library
year
won't
too.
continue to.
I think she was helping to spearhead, and so since she's no longer gonna be there, I think she's looking for somebody to,
Yeah, she
Sure,
brought
take it on.
exactly the same thing to the Needham Diversity Initiative. And I think they're interested, especially if the Human Rights Committee, you could do just 2 a year and still keep it going.
so I just wanna know if that's something that we still want to,
Needham Connect.
if there's interest, if there's interest in continuing with that from our end.
Is that for next year?
It would
Talking
be,
about
yeah,
the fall
it would start for next year, yeah.
And one of the things that got suggested is that we look for ways of connecting with groups, and the Immigration Justice Task Force is a good idea in terms of having a book that's related to
And then
that.
having the
And
events as
that we
well.
thought of some in the past where there's a book that they read at Pollard, and their students were involved in the meeting, so it was students and people from the community who read the book. So, and because they said there's so many book clubs and so many book discussions, not many people were coming. So suggested that a way to get people involved is to pick a book and have a group that you're working with. I didn't volunteer, just ideas.
I think it's a great idea, but I think someone would have to be the lead from Human Rights. If we agree to do it, someone would have to say that they're willing to, take it on.
Yeah,
That's, I loved them. I went to most of them. But I never, Carrie and Jen.
the last one you
did-
guys did was.
You guys
amazing.
took, you took the lead on it, which was great.
You had the most spectacular book club discussion with the author.
Yeah, when the author
Present.
brings in a lot too.
Yeah, I know, I wish we had discovered that earlier. But that was fun. I mean, I think I'm a big fan of it, so I'd be happy to. We're talking like 2 a year, we're not talking like 1 a month.
No, I mean, we could even do,
2 a year and. Human Rights
HRC
just
does
do
one and then NDI does another.
I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, so it keeps it going, and then if people have more, they can add on because you have the format.
Okay.
So is the library not gonna kind of hold like they used to do like a lot of the publicity for it and stuff
Oh, they
like
will.
that?
They, well, I think they will, it's just that they're losing that,
She's not gonna. facilitate.
she's not gonna facilitate that anymore, so we would have to figure out now who at the library that we would be.
And,
There's a new trustee coming on to replace
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
So maybe we can make a connection with that new person, but she just wants to make sure if there's interest, that it doesn't fall through the cracks because she's no longer gonna be there. So she's just trying to figure out a legacy plan, right? So if there is interest and we have time to think about it, then I'll tell her yes.
yeah, and maybe Carrie could talk with him.
Okay, so yes,
Yes,
okay.
I like the idea of tying that into
Yeah,
that's
that's,
a
you know,
really
she and I
good
talked
idea.
about that today, and I said, well, maybe it's, because she said the same thing, there's so many different groups and people are, and I said, well, maybe we could tie it into something that we're actually doing to fortify our programming, right?
Yeah.
It makes sense, so it's not sort of a random event, a random book club meeting. Thank you, Carrie. Race Amity Day, we are sponsoring that this year. I think we had talked about just.
yes, that we would continue with
continue?
things.
Right, do you have any updates on
I
that?
do. I even wrote it down. Grace Amity Day, it's preordained, is the second Sunday, which is June 9th this year. And they decided, by they, I mean ND. Instead of being 4 to 6, it would be 3 to 5. They're wanting to go back to Amity Path at the reservoir, which will be the 3rd year. And, with Human Rights Committee being part of it, it makes it easier for them to ask for use of the property. Somebody was gonna contact Tina for Human Rights Committee support. I don't know if they
Kim
did.
did, she applied, that's a done deal.
Terrific. Hey, what's this, concern about, as with any event, outreach. And we've had really marvelous response from Medco families with, Colleen, I've forgotten her last name, who's the president of the Medco Parents Group. And a lot of, folks came to the MLK Day program. They want to have an interactive component, and they're hoping to engage the same person who helped with creating the beginning part of the MLK Day program with the interweaving bridge building. Once again, they will have some crafts projects, unnecessary to mention what they are. The music, they're looking into different groups. Probably be food, we have food left from other events. And they like the idea of welcoming different languages. And if people have ideas along any of these areas, tell me or Amelia, and we can send them to them. So, that was good. Amelia, I went to the Google sheet there to write,
Got it all.
read what they had.
Any recommendations for musical groups? We've contacted Renaz. Renaz has some contacts. We were thinking of having local people from Needham.
Yeah, and one
And
of,
Renaz has a few contacts, but
There's-
if you can recommend.
there's a new member of the group who's, got a child in honors choir at Pollard and was going to talk with them.
Okay. So if anybody has any other suggestions, email both of you, one of you, both of you, good.
Doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay, great.
Touch.
And, when do you think the marketing materials will be available for that so that we can start distributing on our networks?
Probably not
About
till
2
the next
weeks.
meeting.
Yeah.
But April should be
Meeting
enough
next-
time.
Okay, so yeah.
It's a terrible time of year. At least it's not the weekend of graduation.
Yeah,
And isn't there a Pride event earlier in the day on Race Amity
Well,
Day?
that just happened to be the case last year. I don't know whether they've chosen something that
Because that was a
the
problem with
minister of the
timing.
Congregational Church is on like a short sabbatical, and it was done between the First Parish and the Congregational Church. So,
okay, great. Speaking of Pride,
yes,
somebody asked me if we had any plans and if there were any ideas about what we could do this year, if anything else is happening in town, how we could support. I haven't heard anything as of yet.
NDI will be asking for the month of June to have the Pride banners up. So that's one thing.
Anything else? Anything happening with the schools this year?
We'll be gone, so.
Oh, they will have graduated.
Alright.
I don't know about anything.
Is this something that we want to try to organize around? We don't have, I don't need an answer today, but I know there's a lot going on, so,
You're gonna plan it before April.
yeah.
Excuse me, I couldn't resist.
Yes, yes, yes. So just something to think about. I mean, we've done some things in the past. We've worked, I mean, I certainly can reach out to the library again just to get our book display up and running. That's,
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, that's-
Yeah, that's easy. Yeah, that's a good thing to do.
so I'll talk to them about that. But if there's anything else, you know, we can talk about it at the next meeting. But I'll see if we can get that up and running. Okay. Juneteenth committee update. I haven't heard anything. Is there one?
No, we had put out a call for volunteers and didn't receive any applications, and so then it kind of just lay dormant.
I'm the only one on the committee.
Yeah.
That was the year before.
Yeah.
Still the only one on the committee.
Yeah.
I thought Marcus was also on the committee, huh?
I don't know.
I thought that he was one of the people who recommended it or suggested it. When it got added to the goals.
Yeah, I can ask if something's changed that I'm not aware.
Okay,
Tina, those are two things that we really should do something about, but I'm like, I can't think of like, what we can do.
You did some really nice things for.
we did the
Couple
Facebook
years.
posting last year,
Yeah,
so
we did a lot of
something that
nice
we
stuff.
could, if you wanted to repeat that, we could do that again.
And just use what we already have, not have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, right.
How many people do you need to start a committee?
It's a town committee, so I don't know.
It was a select board goal. I don't remember if there was like a set number.
Yeah.
But there just wasn't interest. In
Okay.
anything. So I will check and see if we're still trying to constitute it or if it's, I.
So what we've done in the past, Greg, is we have, sort of do a countdown to Juneteenth, starting on June 1st.
Yeah,
And it's anything from historical facts to these are Black-owned businesses that you should be supporting, to here's some events happening in other communities, you know, mark the
Highlighted
calendars
some
kind of
books.
thing.
Recipes.
Yeah.
This is on our Facebook.
Right,
Mm.
book reading lists depending on the ages. So there's a lot of that already exists, so we can certainly
yeah.
do the
That's
same
exciting.
thing.
I'd be curious to contact other communities, see what they do,
Yeah,
how they organize things and stuff.
That'd be
Yeah.
neat.
That'd be
Right.
great.
It could be really cool to reach out, not just even in here, like around the country. Do what people do in other states. That'd be.
We'll find out what they do in the south.
I'd be
I'd be curious.
I'd be curious, like, what are they doing in Atlanta?
Yeah.
It could be really cool. It could
The
be
book
really-
by Clint Smith, How the Word is Passed,
Yeah.
has a section, I think it might be Galveston, where Juneteenth is really big.
Oh, yeah.
And so many people
Interesting.
Yeah,
have their
that's,
own, they have their own ancestors or parts of the trail and so forth.
That's great.
It was,
Yeah.
it's exciting to see that. And some people have felt that it's really important to have some leadership in the planning, like people of color. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do things, but just, I've heard that. too.
okay, wait, so are you volunteering to research this?
I'm interested.
Or is that-
Actually, how this whole.
Are you also interested in doing the work?
I mean, I'm curious, definitely. So, originally I wanted to get involved in the town last year when I first moved here.
Yeah.
So I came to town hall here and I asked, upstairs, like, what do I do? And they said, you should try the Juneteenth one. So I applied for that and I did talk to Marcus and I did talk to, what's his name?
Miles.
Miles, yes.
Okay.
Miles, yeah. And, then they got back to me and said that no one else was interested, so they're gonna scrap it and do it next year. And then I was like, well, what else can I do? And Miles said, run for town meeting. And that's all I did with town meeting.
That's right, now you're here.
I'm like, I could do that. He's like, yeah. So then he's like, oh, this one's open too. So, yeah, that's how I ended up here, but yeah, so I'm definitely interested in that, yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
talking
great.
to Marcus about it, I was like, yeah, we could contact other towns or cities, see what they do, and I think that's interesting to see how they put on the event and how they, whatever they're celebrating.
Okay,
doing.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. So we can, then I can touch base about that and.
Yeah.
If we
And then
can,
we have the statement, we have Marcus's statement that, Carrie, you've posted on the Facebook.
Mhm.
By the way, thank you, you do a great job.
Which
Facebook
statement?
page. 2 or 3 years ago, Marcus wrote a statement
Now I
as a
remember.
select, no, was he on the select board then?
Yeah. this is-
Yeah, was he a
3 years,
member of
yeah.
Human Rights?
Select
Anyway,
board, I
yeah,
believe.
he wrote a statement
Yeah.
that,
So we can go sort of, I can talk to you about what we've done in the past.
That'd
and
be
maybe we can
fantastic,
sort
yeah.
of Come up with some,
I'd be really curious. I love it, yeah. Yeah.
and then present to you guys at the next meeting. That should give us enough time to ramp up. Okay.
Great.
Awesome, thank you. We need to decide on meeting dates, Katie.
Well, the one for April, for
This April.
this coming April.
Yeah.
Yeah, next month, the third Thursday, the eighteenth falls on school vacation, but the following week is Passover, so I think the question is, do you want the eighteenth? Do you wanna
Or the 11th.
pick a different
Passover doesn't matter.
date?
You can have,
It depends who you are.
no, I don't think so. Passover is mostly the first 2 days.
Yeah.
And this is in the middle. And there should be no reason.
The town, has got a lot of feedback about scheduling things on holidays, so we try to be a lot more mindful about not overlapping. I can appreciate that you're telling me that it's fine, so if this group is fine doing it, it's your decision, but, we go off of the school cultural calendar and we try to.
It's really,
So can we hear from Emmy and Finn, because you have school vacation, probably that would not be a good time.
Well, I'm getting my wisdom teeth removed that day. so I will not be.
Away with that weekend, so I'm not so sure yet.
are you talking about the 18th?
Yeah,
Yeah.
with that long weekend.
So the next week would be better,
Yeah, maybe I'll be able to.
maybe.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
it's
I'll be
good
there.
to
If it's the next week, I can.
Oh, the week before school vacation?
Oh, yeah, so the 11th.
Yeah, I actually have it down for the 11th.
Yeah, I thought we had.
I thought we had decided on the 11th, because I have it down on my calendar.
No,
No, I still have it on the 18th, but I can.
at the meeting before
The
this.
11th?
So is the 11th okay with you guys?
So which date are we?
No, it looks like it's the 11th.
Is the 11th
April
okay
18th,
for
and
you?
we move it to April 11th.
Is that okay with everybody?
Emmy, Finn, because you don't have many more meetings. I'd like it to be a good day for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So April 11th.
And what happened? I can't ask what happens to Tina if she has happened what we hope will happen.
We're gonna have an election.
April on
Yeah, okay.
the 11th. The select board meeting. Regardless of what happens, I'll be here. Okay, so we're set for April 11th.
Great.
Did everybody get a chance to look at the schedule for next year?
I didn't realize that I didn't have it, sorry.
Oh, yeah, I mean, you sent it out.
Yeah. I just have one, but it's not helpful. Hi, everyone.
Actually, all the
Oh, I
days
think you
I
did
checked.
print it.
I mean, I can just talk you through the third Thursday, there's no conflicts with holidays or school
Oh, here it
vacation
is.
until February, so we can. Let's see if anyone has any conflicts for the next meeting and we plan to finalize.
Yeah,
it.
I just, okay. Okay. You, I am also having a, just
Okay.
let's hear your anything else and then I'll give you my anything else.
So this is coming to next one.
I may have mentioned this early on when we were planning the, at my neighbor's table, anti-Semitism task force. Most of you know that event happened March 3rd and sort of changed. So there's a second event that's coming up April 28th, which is called Repairing the World. It's also about anti-Semitism, but it's gonna be a film, and it's not gonna be, the same format as At My Neighbor's Table, but a film that, is about what happened in Pittsburgh, the, murders in Pittsburgh. There's a 2.5-hour film, but there's a 25-minute, version, that shows the community coming together, from all religions coming together. And so, there's a man from the Boston Jewish Film Festival, Ken Schulman, who is coming to, he goes into the Boston schools and other schools and presents this to kids who had never heard of anti-Semitism, had never met a Jew. And so he's kind of piloting it with adults, and we're hoping also teens. So maybe that there would be some high school kids coming. We haven't really started with the publicity, but it's gonna be 5 to 7 on April 28th. It's during Passover, at the end of Passover. It's at Temple Bet Shalom. It's not gonna be a potluck because of the food thing. We're just gonna kind of do some salads and stuff. And I think it should be really interesting. He's a really interesting guy. And anyway, I would love to get support from this group and also see from you guys, if there's anybody at the high school that we can reach out to who might be able to encourage students to come. If there's a teacher or if there's, you know, if there's anybody that, well, you guys could reach out. Cause he really wanted to have teams there.
What about Beth?
Yeah, but that's just her kid. I mean, we want someone a little,
Yeah, last time we talked about this, we mentioned the,
we reached out,
Gillespie.
we reached out to him for the last one and we didn't really get any, the only kids we got at the last one were from Christ Episcopal because Reverend Nick had his whole confirmation class and their parents come. They made it a requirement. So that was like the only way, but we've had things in the past where there've been teachers, like social studies or history teachers who said you can get extra credit if you come to one of these.
And that's why I thought you might have to go back to the person.
Yeah, and it didn't, I don't know, he said, okay, I mean, I don't think he did anything, so I don't know if there's
But
anybody
can
else.
you go to the teachers without approval from the department head?
I mean, I think if there's something has extra credit, I think it's their like decision.
Yeah, it's not the department. I don't know if there's
We
anybody.
can maybe ask around, I feel like we can also talk to, maybe the student unions could be interested in planning that. It's like, I know, like, Jewish student union just promoted something at the school where a Holocaust survivor came in and like, there was a lot of turnout for that, and they were really passionate about getting that through. And obviously, like, Mr. Seacon and Dr. Union really excited about that. Like, what if the other student unions and the Jewish student union would be interested in something like that?
Yeah, I'm looking a lot, I mean, it's fine to have Jewish kids, but we really like
Right.
kids who aren't Jewish. So can I send you guys the flyer when it's in process? It's April 28th, it's actually gonna be here before we go. I was supposed to get a sample of it today, but it never came, so I'm not doing the flyer. Somebody else is. So can I
It's a
send it?
It's a Sunday, right?
It's a Sunday afternoon, evening, 5 to 7.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Does anybody else have anything else? So, I was talking to Reverend Scudera today. I'm just putting it on the radar. She said that, we may start seeing signs around town that say, "Let Gaza live." I'm not sure what the ramifications of that are going to be, so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up that I think there may be some fallout there. So if you hear anything, you know, if that comes up, we should.
I know something, she probably told you the background of where that came from.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that happened in Newton recently.
Yeah. So
You guys probably aware.
yeah, so I just wanted to, I don't have to do anything, but I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention because it potentially could affect some of the work that we're doing or maybe some communication that we get. And it's just so you're aware. Okay, does anybody have anything else? Do you guys mind if I take a quick group photo before we break? Is that okay?
So you can
And
remember
was
it.
that button never
Do you
identified?
guys mind taking a picture of the table?
Amelia, did you have a group photo for this year?
No,
So this would be a good night to do it?
Almost everybody's.
Yeah, all except.
Tina, I should take it. Should I take it?
No, let me-
Girls on it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but she
I
wants.
know it's
one
only
that
Wednesday.
everybody-
It's completely different.
Are we, do we need to come together?
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna everybody do
What
it.
do you want?
To see my enemy text messages and my kids telling me to stop playing PlayStation.
Well, then you're not.
Yeah, but no, then you're not in
it.
Yeah, but then there'll be
Not that
one.
photogenic, really. My arm's not that long. I'll take one without and then one with. So we'll get one good
up
one
and
at
put it
least.
back down. There we go.
There we go. That's perfect. I have everybody. Big smiles. Look at this. It's like you've done this before. Okay, ready?
Okay, yeah.
Greg, you have a long arm.
Ready to go?
Well, maybe.
No.
We do, my arm's not that long. All right.
Oh, Riley's gonna take it.
Can only hold my breath for so long, so make sure you take it quick. Nice
Thanks,
job,
Ken.
Dave. Thank you.
You can put it on your poster.
Thank you
Right.
guys, thank you guys, thank you guys. So we'll see you guys on the 11th.
Thank you.
You wanna readjourn?
Oh, yeah, we gotta vote.
I didn't
even do roll call.
No, what did we say? I'm
Oh, that's
here,
right.
and I vote to adjourn.
Roll call when it's in
No.
person?
No, you just have to open the meeting.
Yeah, you never have to put a meeting called to order.
Do we have to?
Yeah,
it's right.
No, you can motion to adjourn and then you can all voice vote.
Okay, motion to adjourn, yeah.
So,
Second,
Second.
yes.
Okay, yeah.
all in favor?
Aye. There we go. You got it done.
Thank you guys.